Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story TV and the Her Story podcast. This is Getrude Matshe here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am blessed with the presence of yet another fascinating guest coming to us all the way from Vienna this time. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, how old you are, and share your story with us today.
Thank you very much indeed. My name's Nigel Stonham. I'm calling in from Vienna in Austria, and I'm 60 years old last September. My story has a few elements, and what I'd like to start with is an English lesson in 2006, where I was talking to a bunch of finance managers in a company in Vienna. And I was wondering with my preparation what I wanted to talk about. And I had a flip chart. And on the flip chart, I wrote up as preparation, "Money Can't Buy Me Love," which is obviously a song title. And I looked at it and I thought a bit. And then I thought, no, I don't really like that. And I changed it to happiness. And then I wrote down, define, measure, compare, and increase. So when these people, when I started the lesson sometime later, I had 5 words on a flip chart with a bunch of finance managers, and we spent 90 minutes exploring what happiness is, how to define it, can we measure it, can we compare happiness, and can we increase it? My focus has been on increasing happiness, and I have condensed that 90 minutes over the years since 2006, which is when that was. I've condensed it down to about 20 seconds to talk to people. I've connected around the world with a lot of specialists in the happiness area. I know a lot of people. I know of people that I haven't connected with, and I know there are also people out there that I don't know about yet. A second defining moment was in 2012 when I was sitting in the sunshine in a garden in England, and I'd had to climb out the kitchen window because I was staying at a friend's. We had a sports weekend. It was the 25th anniversary sports weekend, and I traveled in from Austria for that. And my friend's doors were locked and I couldn't find a key to get out of the house. So I opened the kitchen window and climbed out, sat in the sunshine at 5 o'clock in the morning, and said, what do I want to do? What do I want to do with the rest of my life? And I said, I want to spend the rest of my life traveling the world, spreading happiness. And the beauty of that is, with the power of the internet, one can do that from wherever you are. I've been living in Vienna since I've been living in Austria since 1999. I moved from the UK to Vienna, and it has been a wonderful experience. I'm very happy to be a guest in this wonderful country. I have just secured my 10-year permit to stay here now that we've had Brexit and some changes to everything there. But I just received last week my 10-year residency permit, which is super. And what else can I say? I have been blessed. I consider myself one of the happiest and luckiest people on the planet, which is a good feeling. And what I have come to as a point of understanding from my happiness coaching is that today is the happiest day of my life, which is quite incredible. So I wake up every morning with a positive certainty that today is the happiest day of my life. And obviously I can explain that logic over time. And I would be very happy to talk more to anyone, including you, lovely lady, about it.
Okay, so my first question is, what is your definition of happiness? Happiness is different for everybody. What is your definition?
I don't really have a simple definition because I think it's quite complicated. My view of, someone said to me, Nigel, if you were, they said it's very difficult to define it. If you were to define it, if you met 27 people, you'd probably get 27 different definitions of happiness. And I said, when I meet 1,000 people, I expect to get 1,000 different definitions because it's an individual thing. And that's the beauty of my approach to it. I put it back to the person that I'm talking to and say, well, it's your happiness. You're in control of your happiness. It doesn't matter what I define happiness as, because that is not going to affect your happiness. It's more likely to lead to an argument between you because you'll disagree. So I'm focused on them, which is a little something that I can give to the world. I can say, it's your happiness. You own it. Now, how do you define happiness? Do you feel in control of it? And would you like to increase it? And if you could see a way of increasing it, can I support you to increase your happiness?
I love that. That is an excellent answer because it does begin with all of us. It actually has nothing to do with the other or anybody else but ourselves. Now, a lot of people, especially in relationships, search for happiness in another person. And we always fall short because of it. We try and change other people so they fit into our narrative of what we expect. How have you navigated your life in terms of relationships and happiness?
What came to me when you started there was the fact that I can remember quite clearly I was talking to a friend about this very point because he was looking for a new partner. And I said, the key thing is that when you're looking for a new partner, you should not be unhappy saying I'm single. You should be happy because when you're happy, you'll attract someone that's equally or close to that on a scale of 1 to 10. If you're miserable at 2, the chances are you'll attract another miserable person. And then you become happy because you're in a relationship, but they're still down on 2 because you can't actually affect their happiness. And so the idea is to work on yourself first and get to a position of where you're comfortable in life, where you're totally happy, and by totally, I mean 80%, because my measurement of perfection is 80%. And I can talk, I have a little story about that as well. 80% is Pareto optimality. And therefore, if you're more than 80% happy with yourself, then you should be in a position to radiate positive attraction and attract a suitable partner into your life. On the other hand, what you can do in life when you're radiating and attracting. And when I first came to Austria, I brought something with me from the UK called First Tuesday, which was a networking event called Linking Ideas with Money. It was a startup. It was in the dot-com boom in 1999. And I met a lot of people then. And I had a job at the time and a young son. And people said, why are you doing this First Tuesday thing, Nigel? And I thought about it. And then I said, well, I want to help people. And why was that? I spent from the age of 6 to 19 in the Boy Scout, actively in the Boy Scouts. And we said our law and promise every week. And part of that is say blah, 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 and to help other people. So it was ingrained in me from my childhood to go out there and do a good turn every day and help other people. And so that's what I said. Well, I'm trying to help other people. In those days, I was trying. And so I was giving of myself to help other people. And I haven't answered the question. I'm aware that I haven't answered the question. Can you define the question again, perhaps?
Yeah, so it actually leads me to another thought that just came as you were answering.
It was to do with attracting partners and relation. Did you say partners or relationships? Because if it's about attracting relationships, I've attracted lots of people into my life who are happy to be helped. I've also kept my own energy a lot of the time up by talking to people like you. I think you found that over the last days, and I get an immense amount of energy from talking to people. This is challenging because one can get an energy overload. So if you keep talking to people and get energy from them and give to them, A, it's exhausting giving of yourself all the time.
Yeah.
And if you keep getting energy from them, then you can get into a positive upward spiral, as I talked about with Amy, who's a PhD in positive psychology in the States. I said, wow, a positive upward spiral doesn't stop. A negative downward spiral, the opposite, because I've been doing a lot of opposites in my English language. What's the opposite? Black, white, etc. Topical for this Black History Month. The bottomless, the downward spiral can bottom out, and often it bottoms out very painfully for people. And that's something that I'm working to avoid. And I'm connected with some great people who have the skills and the capabilities to support people through situations. And that gives me a warm feeling.
Now, you talked about the law of attraction and how when you are on this positive vibration.
No, sorry, I mentioned attraction. I did not talk about the law of attraction. Okay, that's a specific thing. And I have arrived at a point in my life where I find that I have, by conversations and by absorption of energy from the universe, I come up with stuff that other people are talking about. And then I think, oh, I can understand that. For example, abundance is something that I didn't understand. Yeah, abundance. And then I got to the point in my English lessons of saying, well, look at the word. It's a bun dance. And looking at it like that, I thought, wow, this is fun. And I can understand more now. I also say, I used to say quite frequently that some of the stuff that comes out of my mouth now, if I had heard this 30 years ago, I would laugh openly at the person that was saying it, because now I have a broader understanding of the world. I understand more.
But it seems to me that like attracts like.
I believe it can. Well, magnetically speaking, if you look at two magnets, opposites attract.
Yes.
I'm a great fan of logic.
I love that. Now, we're talking about the power of giving.
Right.
Can you share a story of what changed your life when someone gave to you?
The story that comes to mind is a weekend in Derbyshire when we went with a group of venture scouts from Southampton, myself, some relatives of mine, some kids which were being looked after in a home, and we were walking across to go rock climbing across the meadows. And my cousin, who'd had his motorbike stolen, was talking to a young chap who was a young offender who had stolen motorbikes. And it was interesting seeing these two people. So this was a gift because they were giving me their conversation. We then moved on and we climbing the rock. And these two chaps were helping a chap who was heavy and out of control of his body through various bodily discoordinations. And they both had one foot helping him up this rock face. He was basically plastered on this small rock face, and they were pushing him up. And it was beautiful. It was a gift to see these people working together, having 20 minutes before been at emotional loggerheads. And I have been fortunate to pick up lots of experiences like that. So people are frequently giving me stuff. Many times they don't realize that they're giving me a gift, but I can see the gifts in lots of things. I was standing on a street corner one day and it was about gratitude. And I entered into a coaching arrangement many years ago with two people. I asked them to coach me, and one of them said something. They both said something different. And I had said to one of them, I would like to have more children. And I was standing on the street corner several years later saying, I have one son. Am I going to stand here and be upset that I only have one son and say I want more? Or am I going to be grateful and thankful for the fact that I've got one healthy, robust young man? So I said, I choose to be thankful for what I have rather than wishing I had something else.
That is
And now, as
amazing.
you know, I have a 4-year-old daughter as well, and she's awesome, and I'm learning from her every moment as I'm learning from my son and being advised and guided by my son as well, quite loudly still.
I love it. So let's reverse that question. And can you think of a story that changed your life when you gave to someone else?
I like to give nuggets of information. I hope these help other people. The gift, I hope those gifts help other people. One yesterday occurred where, and the way I like to give some of my gifts is I've got a website and it has pages for different things. So I have a page about love. I have a page about nothing. I have a page about, I have some TV, I have a little page about films that I've made. And the point that comes up, answer your question immediately, directly. I gave a little gift. I'd like to think it was a little gift yesterday. I was talking in conversation with someone and they said, well, what I've set up actually, I did nothing. And I said, well, that's interesting because I have a web page that says I do nothing. And my little nugget there is that it's like helping an old lady across the road, an old lady or gentleman across the road. And she says, thank you very much. And you say, it was nothing, because it was nothing to you because you were crossing the road anyway. But to the old lady, and I actually did this on a street corner in Vienna recently with 2 girls, as my daughter and a 7-year-old watching me, and they said to me afterwards, why did you help that lady? So here's a gift, I helped that lady. And she was basically, we'd just come across the road. I thought she wanted to go across the road, but she wanted to go left. And the pavement, they were doing building, and the pavement was very uneven. So I saw this lady. I thought she doesn't look very safe. She probably wants help. So I offered to go across the road with her, but she actually went for it. And then the girl said, well, why did you help her? And I said, well, because it was easy and it was nothing. And also because if I hadn't, she might have fallen over and it would have taken me and other people 20 times more effort to help her up off the street and get her into an ambulance and take her somewhere than it was just to spend no time at all being a little kind and giving a little gift of my life, my time.
That is beautiful. So why is giving so important for the future of humanity, do you think?
Well, happiness is important. And if you read the literature, lots of it says there's Action for Happiness in the UK and in Germany as well. And it's a movement that's spread now. And they've got like 200,000 people and they've got this thing, 10 steps to 10 keys to a happier life. And one of those is giving. It says, if you give stuff to other people, then it can increase your own happiness. So it's a generous act, but it's also comes back to us because it increases our happiness. And a lot of people out there, I'm connected with a lot of people who are asking for money, and that's a challenge because one can't keep giving money even if you have a lot. But there's this thing about, I went on a coaching weekend once and it was about time and money, a book by a gentleman and his wife, I think. And there is time and there is money. And people can give money. And for people with a lot of money, that's very easy. If you ask anyone to give them some time, this is a great leveler because everyone's time is equivalent. But busy people can actually create a huge amount of impact with a little bit of their time. And that's one of the things that I'm working on with you in the future. I hope in that, I intend that I can come to you at some point in the future and I say, here's a little situation. And for 30 seconds of your time, writing a little Facebook note or an email to someone, you can impact and change someone's life. Or I can invite someone like I got back in touch with this morning, which was incredible, asking them if they could come and talk, if they'd be interested to come and attend, not talk this afternoon, an event I've got that you know about. And I was surprised because I said, well, I'm inviting you to an event at 7 o'clock in the evening in America, which means you're probably asleep now. And I got an almost instantaneous response saying, hey, I'm here. I'm available any time of night or day for anyone that wants me. It was wonderful.
Love it.
And she's a lady that runs a thing called World Class Teams, which is, and I'd never met her. I'm not sure I've even talked to her because we've been emailing for 20 years or more every now and then, like once every 5 years. But there's a connection there.
Yeah.
Because as you know, we're all one. So when we realize that we're all one, and then 5 years, 20 years doesn't really make much difference.
It doesn't make a difference. Oh, wow. Nigel, thank you so much for blessing us with your energy, with your presence tonight. You're the kind of people I want to keep rubbing shoulders with. You know, you talk about giving. My grandmother used to say that this universe is like a giant bank, and we have to keep depositing good deeds. They come back tenfold, sometimes not from the people we give to, but from very unexpected sources. And I'm pretty sure if I get to sit down with you for an hour or two, I will hear the magical stories that has been your life and how it's unfolded based on how you live.
May I? The bank thing there, because that came into my happiness coaching. The fact that the reason I know that today is the happiest day of my life is because every day I make deposits in the happiness bank, and therefore it's had more deposits now than ever. So therefore the amount in it is enough to make it the happiest day. What one has to be careful of from balance, because withdrawals are made from the account. So you have to make sure that you're putting more in than coming out. And that's why if you understand what you can do that increases it, which you're in control of, as against things that happen which you're not in control of, that's what you have to focus on. Focus on doing things that build your resilience and your happiness so that you have enough in the bank for a rainy day.
Rolls come out. I love it. Beautiful analogy. Thank you so much, Nigel. It's an absolute honor to have bumped into you online. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in today. As you know, the theme for our next online summit is called The Power of Giving. We'll be bringing some fascinating speakers with really unusual ideas around the power of giving. So tune in again tomorrow when I come back with yet another amazing guest. Have a fantastic day, morning, evening, wherever you are in the world. And bye for now. Thank you, Nigel. Oh,
bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.